The story I'm going to tell you right now is about a boy named Jack. And in this story, he has two brothers. He often does. And the names are Tom and Will, which they usually are. And Tom and Will couldn't stand Jack. He was the youngest. They thought he was disgusting. People here who have younger brothers may well sympathize. And he thought that for a number of reasons. Probably the most important was, anytime he saw something on the ground, it could be anything, it could be garbage. If he liked the looks of it, he usually did. Well, 9 times out of 10, he'd just reach over and pick it up with his hand. And that was bad enough. But what was worse was, if he still liked it after he got a closer look at it, and he usually did, 9 times out of 10, he'd put it in his pocket. And they thought that was disgusting. And they called him Dimwit. And that's the name everybody called him. And that's the name of the story. Now, the king of this country had a daughter. You've all met this kind of person. Anytime you start to talk to them, it turns into an argument. And if it's an argument, boy, they got to win. And they know they've won if they get the last word, if they're the last person to talk. That's how you win an argument, right? So she got really good at getting the last word. I guess it's not that hard if you're a princess. It's the only thing she cared about. And now the king was in trouble because nobody wanted to talk to his daughter. What was the point? But she had to hurry up and get married pretty soon, produce an heir to the kingdom, or one of the other kings was going to come take things over. He didn't want that to happen. So he declared a contest. He said, anybody, rich or poor, low or high, anybody who can get the last word on my daughter shall marry her like that. Well, Tom and Will heard that. They had their knapsacks on. They were out the door. They looked around. Here came Dimwit right out. They said, get out of here, you Dimwit. Where do you think you're going? He says, well, he says, I'm going to go to the capital. He says, I want to marry the princess. He says, oh, no, you ain't following us to the capital, embarrassing us in front of all our rich future in-laws. He says, you try that, buddy. We'll throw stuff at you. He says, oh, okay. He says, I'll follow them at a stone's throw distance. Saw something on the ground after they were walking around for a little while. He reached over and picked it up. He says, hey, fellas, look at what I got. They said, what do you got this time, you dimwit? He says, look, he says, dead pigeon. Dimwit? That's disgusting. Did you see that? He picked it up with his hand. Throw it away. He says, me, throw away this wonderful old dead pigeon? He says, heck no. He says, I'm just going to brush off the ants here, and I'll put it in my pocket, along with everything else. That's disgusting, Dimwit. Walked along, and says, hey, look what I got this time. He says, what is it this time? He says, look, I got a greasy piece of string. Look at that. He says, well, don't pick that up. He says, throw it away. Me? Throw away string? Are you kidding? I can always use string. He says, no, sir. I'll put it down in my pocket, along with everything else. That's disgusting. Dimwit walked along. Hey, look what I got this time. What is it this time? He says, look. Old shoe. It's got a hole in the sole there. Look. Hey, you can see right through it. Look at that. He's putting it next to his eye. Dimwit, don't do that. You'll get an athlete's eyeball. Throw it away. He says, me? Say, throw away this old, wonderful old shoe with a hole in the sole you can see right through. He says, no, sir. He says, I'm going to put it down in my pocket, along with everything else. That's disgusting, Dimwit. Walked along. Hey, Tom, next time he calls out, let's not turn around. Good idea, Will. Let's flat out ignore him. He's just doing it for the attention. He's bound to stop sooner or later. Probably going to be later. Yeah, but he's going to stop. That's what you got to remember. They walked along. Hey, look what I got! Now remember, we're going to ignore him. Hey, look what I got! No matter what he does, we're not going to turn around. Hey, look at him! Look what I got! Look what I got! All right! What is it this time? He says, look, it's a boing, 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 boing. It's an old spring. Boing, 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 boing. Boing, 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 boing. He says, Dimwit, throw it away. He says, me? Throw away this wonderful old spring? He says, heck no. I'm going to put it down on my boing, 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 boing. Let's put it down on my boing, 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 boing. I'm going to put it down into my pocket, along with everything else. That's disgusting, Dimwit. Walked along, walked along. Hey, look! Well, they didn't look back after that, so they never saw when he found the mate to the first shoe, also with the hole in the sole that you could see right through, that he put down in the corner of his pocket. He found the mungy old door wedge he crammed down into his pocket, a busted open coat hanger that he folded up so it would fit into his pocket. A number of other objects, too numerous to mention. Finally, they got to where they could see the king's castle. There was a long line of people waiting to get in. They went down to a dip, and it came up. There was a short line of folks. Lots of people walking away. Tom grabbed one of them walking away. Said, "Hey, buddy," he says, "excuse me, would you mind telling me why you're leaving? Don't you want to marry the princess?" He says, "No," he says, "I don't mind telling you why I'm leaving. I wouldn't mind marrying the princess, but the king got tired of everybody trying to get the last word in his daughter, and they couldn't do it. He said they were just giving her practice, which is the last thing she needed. And he said that from now on, everybody tries to get the last word in his daughter, and they can't do it, is going to get branded with a red hot branding iron, like what they did to cows in westerns. That's fun, it's fun, fair is fair. I like my skin the way it is. I'm getting out of here." And Tom says, "What do you think about that, Will?" Will says, "Well," he says, "home sounds pretty good to me, Tom." And Dimwit says, "You guys get down the line, you let me get in front of you." "No, you don't," they said. "Get back there. We were here first." Boy, he went ahead and won the contest, and we got scared and left. Well, we couldn't stay here. We'd have to move out of the country. King Dimwit. Ugh. So the line moved along at a pretty rapid clip. There'd be a pause, a yell, the line would move up one. Pause, yell, the line would move up one. Finally, it was Tom's turn. Tom came to a great big room, 10 times the size of this room. And in one corner of the room, there was a big open fireplace. And the other corner of the room was the princess. Tom says, "All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go up to that lady up there and I'm going to talk to her. Because that's what this is. It's like a talking contest. And whatever I say, I'll make sure that it's so obviously, foolishly true that nobody could argue with it. And whatever she says, well, I'll play it by ear. But if I can't think of what else to do, I'll just agree with her. I'll say, 'Yes, ma'am.' Can't argue with you there. I won't even be arguing with her. I'm bound to get the last word." Pretty good idea, huh?
No.
You're just jealous because you didn't think of it first. Walked in. Says, "How do you do, man?" She says, "Well," she says, "you're a fool, aren't you?" He says,
No.
"Yes," he says. "Can't argue with you there. Warm in here," he says, which it was. She says, "Warm in here," she says. "Hot over there." He looked at where she was pointing. She was pointing at the fireplace. There on the coals was the red-hot branding iron. He took one look at that, and his mouth dried out, and his eyes bugged out, and he got a lump in his throat, and his tongue swole up, and his dry, swollen tongue stuck to the roof of his mouth, and he tried to pull it down to say something. It wouldn't come down. All he could say was, "Good." King clapped his hands, the guards moved forward, there was a yell, the line moved up one. And then it was Will's turn. Will also had made some strategy. He had bought himself a fancy suit of clothes. He had a big floppy hat with a feather in it. He had some of those high-heeled riding boots with the designs on the side. He wasn't from Texas. He didn't even ride a horse. But he thought they made him look nice. He says, "I'm so handsome." Click, 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 click. "I'm so charming." Click, 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 click. "She won't be able to help herself. She'll want to marry me." Click, click, afternoon, madame. Click, 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 click. Whoa, she says. Wait a minute, you're the biggest fool I've seen. You're a bigger fool than that last one I got in here. She says, he says, warm in here, very warm. She says, yes, she says, it's warm in here. Hot over there. He says, over there. Same thing happened to him. King clapped his hands, the guards moved forward. There was a yell, the line moved up one, and then it was Dimwit's turn. Dimwit came in, his pockets bulging out, stuff creeping out of the corners as he walked. Went over to the princess, says, howdy, ma'am. She says, you're the biggest fool I've seen today. He says, warm in here. She's warm in here. Hot over there. He says, a fire. He says, just what I needed to roast my pigeon. He took the pigeon out of his pocket, started pulling feathers off, throwing them in the air. She says, hey, you can't do that. He says, oh, no. He says, why not? She says, well, you need something to cook it on, wouldn't you? You need a skewer or a spit. So I'll just take out this old coat hanger here. I'll straighten it out to a wire like that. I'll spit the bird on the end. I'll roast it over the coals like that. She says, it won't work. He says, why not? She says, oh, the bird will cook. And when it cooks, it'll split open and fall into the ashes and be ruined. He said, I better tie it together with this piece of string. Nobody'd gone this far with the princess yet. She says, okay. She says, all right, fine. Bird will cook. When the bird cooks, the fat will melt. When the fat melts, the bird will shrink. When the bird shrinks, the rope will get loose. When the rope gets loose, the bird will fall into the ashes and be ruined. He said, I guess I better take up the slack with this wedge, like that. She says, you know what? She says. He says, what? She says, you're just twisting up everything I say to you. So I don't know about that. You want to see something twisted up? Now that's twisted up. She says, you're enough to wear out my soul. He says, you want to see a worn out soul? Up. There's She says, I never heard of anything like this. He says, they got the mate to it. It's just like it. You can see through it too. She says, but she couldn't get out a word. King clapped his hands. The guards moved forward. The cardinals moved forward. The band struck up the wedding march, and they were married on the spot. And in after years, he was known as King Jack the Dimwitter. That's the end of the story.